Yes, so we had a very good ending of the year with the numbers that you quoted. What we did see was a heightened promotional pressure pretty much across the globe, and that's part of the underlying concerns going into 25. As markets are subdued, I think the jewelry market in the last few years have not been in good shape. So companies are kind of hitting that promotional button a little bit heavier than what we have seen in the past. So that's part of the concerns going into 25. The guidance for 25 is kind of in the middle of what we did last year. We guided 6 to 9% organic. This year we're guiding 7 to 8. So we're kind of in the middle of the pack. So we still expect a very decent growth in this year.
The performance from China versus US, chalk and cheese, the US growing sequentially 9%, China falling by 10% on a like-for-like basis. Are you seeing any change in those behaviours? Do you think China is going to improve at all in the near future? And do you see the United States holding steady to compensate for that Chinese market?
So just to put things in perspective, the US roughly represents 30% of the group revenue. China represents 1% of our group revenue. So obviously my eyes are a little bit more attentive to what's going on in the US. We see a more positive sentiment developing in the US. If you look at the consumer sentiment index in China at the moment, it's the lowest it's been for many, many years. And I don't expect it necessarily to move anywhere upwards. So I think we'll see even more separation going into 25 and quite possibly 26.
Alexander, you're many times the businessman I will ever be, but China just looks so exciting to me. You've got all these problems going on, but you've got one of the biggest two consumer markets on the planet, potentially, if you can just grasp the fruits of that tree as well. It's worth sticking with China or actually allocating capital elsewhere. A lot of ad people will tell you when it's tough there, that's the time to build your market share.
We have not given up on China. We have had troubles for several years now. Part of this macro issues, part of it our own issues. We haven't done a fantastic job on let's say, landing the brand proposition in China, but we keep investing in this. We keep trying, albeit at a bit more, sensible level. So we're not throwing the kitchen sink at it. It's going to be a step-by-step approach. But as you say, it's one of the biggest consumer markets out there. And of course, Pandora should play in China. There's no doubt about that.